Before we jump into today's show, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. The autumn cohorts for Start Your Podcast group program are now open. There are 5 dates between September and October, and it's a 6-week program that will get you launched before Christmas. So if podcasting was on your to-do list this year, if you really want to get your podcast up and done by the end of 2023, then come and join me for one of those cohorts and let's make it happen. I have a free masterclass available for you called Understanding the Power of Podcasting. You can go over to donnaeade.com/masterclass, watch the masterclass and get access to that enrollment. I hope to see you in one of the autumn cohorts very soon. That's donnaeade.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the show. You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK. My name's Donna. I'm your host. And have you heard the news? Yes, #brides are back. In this episode, we are going to be talking to Nick Harris all about Just About Weddings and the #Brides Are Back wedding fair. So if you haven't heard about it, listen in. Welcome back to the podcast. I have got a fantastic guest with me today. I say every week I have a fantastic guest, but they are all so great and generous of giving of their time and coming to talk to me about whatever it is they're talking about. So I'm going to introduce you to Nick. He is the founder of Just About Weddings, and he's going to tell us about a fantastic wedding fair that he's got coming up. So first of all, hi Nick, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, Donna. Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So you are pretty new to the industry in respect of the fact that, we haven't worked for a year. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you've come from, and why you've set up Just About Weddings?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I am relatively fresh into the industry, but it's not an industry that we didn't look at for a while before we set up. So my background is I worked at a very senior level in some of the multiple groups, retail groups in the UK, and before that I had my own businesses for the best part of 19 years as well. So I've done quite a lot of various things, but mainly in the retail and end consumer sectors. And then we came along and joined this fabulous industry, which has been an eye opener, that's for sure. Yeah.
So the wedding industry, being part of it, I feel it's quite a unique industry to be part of. What is it that drew you into the wedding industry in particular?
That's a very, very interesting question. Me and the team, and it's not just me, so I wouldn't want to sit there and make out that it's all me. I have a great team, and we looked at this industry as one which hasn't changed for an awful long time. And because we are all, if you like, forward thinkers, my previous businesses that I built were based on disruptive ideas. We looked at this industry and felt that there was some real change that was due. And that might not be the most popular thing to say, but we actually feel that there is a great scope for change. And when we set the business up, that was our aim. Our aim was to actually find ways to offer something that potentially was greater in value to the end user. Let's face it, that the clients who we all share are spending basically a house deposit on one day, sometimes obviously a weekend, but if in effect, they're spending the equivalent of what would be a house deposit on one day. And my team and our thinking was actually, does that really feel incredibly right? And are these people spending it wisely? Let's put it that way. And so we just felt that actually there were opportunities to bring technology into the industry and also to bring possibly increased value into the industry. And, we believe with justaboutweddings.co.uk, our website, we've done exactly that. So we have kind of shaken things up a little bit. Many suppliers and many other companies in the industry seem to have loved that and got on board with it and completely back us. And, are like, wow, I can't believe how much you guys have achieved and what you're doing. We want to be part of it, part of your journey. And then, of course, we have a small number, thankfully, of dissenters who kind of don't like the challenge of the change that we're bringing. And we are bringing change, and not just to one little area of the industry either, I might add. So watch out, here we come.
It's quite interesting, actually, you say that. It's one of those things that people do fear change and, you know, what it does to them. And because the wedding industry is made up of a lot of people that are sole traders or very small businesses, people take that kind of thing really personally and can get really offended by things quite easily, I think. So I can understand why there is some resistance.
Yeah,
you know,
we get absolutely understand that. And actually, what we've found is those people who were willing to embrace what we're doing have actually turned around and in the end said, actually, it's a massive benefit to them. So some of the suppliers that we are now working with as preferred suppliers have turned around and said, you know what you're doing has changed our business model for the better. And we're now getting business that we didn't expect to get because we're doing things slightly differently. You know, one of the things that I would say that as an example is with our wedding planning service, and no doubt we'll talk a little bit more about that during this podcast, but with the wedding planning service, one of the things that we aim to do is not just support our clients, you know, absolutely 100%, but actually we want to support our ever-growing band of preferred suppliers. So we have an offer to our preferred suppliers whereby we will pay them for the entire amount of money that they're asking for up front. Now, that's unheard of. You know, it just doesn't happen in the industry. And at a time when everyone is clamoring to get some cash back into their businesses because they haven't traded effectively for a year, you know, what we've done is we are helping people along. We don't want to get rid of any suppliers. We want to embrace them into our way of doing things that offers our end clients and their end clients, it's the same people, the very best value while supporting everybody else around us. So we're not here to hurt anybody. In fact, on the contrary, those people that are working with us are finding it's quite the reverse. We're benefiting them hugely. And I think that's really important to our model. We're a very ethical business. So for us, we're not after doing for anybody, quite the reverse. We're after really helping both sides work out a better way, I think is probably the best way of looking at it.
Yeah. Brilliant. So I did take a look at your website and there is a few different elements to it. So just focusing on just about weddings and not talking about the fair just yet, but what is it that Just About Weddings is doing? What are the different elements of it and how are you helping couples and suppliers?
Okay, so Just About Weddings started out as a purely retail business, online retail. Retail, as I've explained, is in our hearts, it's in our background. So we wanted to seek better value for the couples. And we started at the very start, as you do. You know, we decided we'll set up as bridal wear. And what we found was a closed industry. So we ended up having to look completely elsewhere for a supply base, which was a real surprise and an eye-opener right from the start. So we now carry one of Europe's leading wedding dress brands, a company called Hadassah. And actually, we managed to negotiate an exclusivity contract with them. So we are the exclusive suppliers of the Hadassah wedding dress ranges, which are beautiful, equal in quality. And I come from a background of clothing. So for me, quality and clothing absolutely has to go hand in hand. It's in my absolute blood. You cut me open and it's going to read, you know, quality clothing.
Silks and cotton.
Yeah, that's where I come from. I've run clothing factories before, and you know it's really truly in my blood. We had a look at wedding dresses, and we said actually our wedding dress quality, comparative to almost every major brand, leading brand available in the UK in the boutiques, is at least as good, if not better. And now I'm not going to sit there and say it's the best in the world. That's not true. But for the price range that it would normally be retailed at, it is a superb wedding dress. It took us about a month and a half, and we did a big thing on Instagram when we finally got an agreement from Hadassah that we were able to charge the prices we wanted to charge. And that was a big negotiation. And what it meant was that we were able to cut the prices by nearly 50%. Now, that's a massive, massive amount of money.
Yeah.
We're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So when brides now come and buy one of our wedding dresses at, say, £650, they're buying a £1,500 dress. Now, that's not to say that boutiques don't offer an extraordinary experience. And everyone then goes, oh, yeah, but, it's one thing just to buy a wedding dress like any other, like a T-shirt. It's another to have the experience at a boutique. And we don't disagree with that, which is why we also offer some great additional upsells, if you like. So we have for £300 on our website. Again, it's just one of the things that we felt that we could do differently just from the norm, is we have a premium at-home measure and fit service. So again, we go to the individual's homes, we measure them up, we then make the dress to the right size, we come back, we fit them on them, and any alterations there are our cost. So even when you add in that £300, our prices are still hundreds and hundreds of pounds cheaper than the boutiques. And it's not the boutique's fault, by the way, because from what we understand, they're told what prices they have to sell at. They have to sell at standard RRPs. So for me, I've got a little bone to pick with the big brands and the way that they sell to their stockists. But whilst there is this stranglehold on the industry by the manufacturers, they're at a big disadvantage. And I have a huge amount of sympathy for them. And particularly with them having been closed for so long, I have a great deal of sympathy. That said, they're the competition. Yeah. And now we are offering a very viable competition to what they offer with a service that goes with it. And therefore, we're not just this pure internet retailer that's faceless like maybe an Amazon is. We are far more of a personal business. Yeah. People can call us up and speak to us. We're human beings, and likewise they'll see us when we go and see them. So it's been a real great one. So yes, we do that. To go back to that question,
and they have a wedding dress called Donna as well. Just so you know, very pretty dress called Donna.
Absolutely, and it's really interesting, that new range, by the way, which is an incredible price point. We're talking about from like 250 up to about 390. Is ridiculous pricing. I mean, it's absolute insanity. But actually, that range has been designed by another top European maker, and all our dresses are made in Europe. We won't stock Far Eastern stuff, which we think is cheap and nasty. Sorry, but we do. And that has been designed specifically, that range, for the internet only business. And we were offered it by the company, and we couldn't say no, because frankly, once we had a look at the dresses and saw the quality, we said, you know what, this is great value. So yes, we have a Donna, and it's great price. So we're doing the dresses. We also do the menswear. The idea being we're one-stop shop. We do bridesmaid stuff, and this week you've caught us during our bridesmaid week on social media, where we've just come to an agreement to stock the Two Birds bridesmaid gown, which are brilliant, really clever, really great. I would recommend it to anybody to go and have a look at these dresses.
Yeah, the jumpsuit ones are awesome. I love that. It's girls that don't like to wear dresses, little jumpsuit thing going. I loved those.
Absolutely. So, and again, really great value. We like working with quality manufacturers who are prepared to work with us. And, Two Birds have been nothing but really on board with what we're doing, really helpful, really supportive. So we're grateful to them. And here we are doing a wonderful week of showing off their collection. And we're, of course, going to do a giveaway, because we're now getting famous for our giveaways. We've now given away 3 wedding dresses. We're now on to a bridesmaid's dress at the end. Sometime during March, we're doing the draw for that. And so we're doing the clothing. And we do all the accessories. So we do the veils, and we do the shoes and the tiaras and the boleros and goodness knows what else, belts and bags and stuff. So we've got pretty much everything for the bride. We've got everything for the groom. In a week's time, we'll be launching with a company called Wilvorst, again, one of the really big players in the men's wedding wear. So, it's not your bog standard 2-piece suit. It's far more interesting and far more versatile. It comes in such an array of fabrics and shapes and designs and what have you. And my background originally was always tailoring. So again, for me, it was extremely important that we were offering a quality product. We are, I can say that with certainty. So, really happy that will be going live. And our made to measure platform that we keep saying since January, we've been saying it's coming. But other things have unfortunately taken priority. But our own made to measure platform for men's is coming. And when that launches again, we will be be offering the highest quality made-to-measure suit available in the world. And I can tell you that from 20-something years worth of men's bespoke tailoring background, that's absolutely the case. And we'll be offering it at incredible pricing. So if you're after a made-to-measure suit, whether it's for work or for wedding, it doesn't matter. Our platform will be the place to go. It'd be incredible. That's all coming. So yes, we do all of that stuff, and that's where we originated from. And then, of course, we have our wonderful wedding planning service, which I say with a smile on my face, because we weren't going to launch that until probably, well, certainly into the second quarter of this year. But COVID kind of wrecked our plans a little bit, and we decided to bring it forward. So we launched it on the 4th of January. Again, our model is very, very disruptive. Most wedding planners in the UK, as many people who listen to this will probably know, will charge a 10% commission or 10% charge, if you like, on your entire spend. And there will normally be a minimum of, I don't know, about £3,000 as a bare minimum of what you have to pay them. And whilst, I'm sure they do an amazing job, we didn't feel personally that necessarily offered the best value. And I would actually go as far as to say, we actually think that what that did was it stopped the majority of those people getting married from having a wedding planner. It kind of cut them out because financially not affordable. So what you have is the elite, if you like, which probably accounts for no more than 5% of all people who get married. We reckon it's probably less than that, who could afford to pay £3,000 to purely a wedding planner, let alone all the other suppliers that they're working with. And, in America, it's commonplace. When you get married, you have a wedding planner. It's just the norm. But in the UK, it's not the case. So we launched our exclusively for everyone tagline here. And we said, actually, this should be for everyone, but it should be quite an exclusive feeling to have your wedding planned for you by a planner. So we have this new model where it's just £250. It's a flat fee, and that's it. And people are kind of going, well, how can you possibly make money on that? Oh, you must be, taking commissions from or backhanders from all of your suppliers. Well, actually, no, we're contracted not to. So when our clients enter a contract with us and they pay their £250 to us, our contract specifically says we do not, and we cannot take any backhanders. So there are no commissions involved. And this is all part of our model. So everyone's saying, well, how on earth could you possibly make money from this? It's insane. And again, it's about how we thought around the problem. How do you make money without sitting there taking commissions off your suppliers? Well, because actually what we wanted to do was make sure that we passed on any savings that we can negotiate with a supplier. We wanted to give that to our couples. That's the whole point. If they can go directly to a supplier, which frankly you can find on Google any supplier you like. Now I know there's 1,000 directories out there. Of course you can go and look at them, but obviously, there's generally commissions involved there too. So what we said was, well, actually, if all these poor suppliers are having to put their prices up because they're always having commissions demanded of them, then we needed to find a way of breaking that down. So we said to our preferred suppliers, all those companies that we vet, and we do vet them, and we vet them very heavily. In fact, we got accused by one photographer of adding another layer of cost into an already expensive industry because we asked for a small, I'm talking a £40 contribution to the costs of vetting them before we take them on as a preferred supplier. So that's a huge level of additional cost. And it's a one-off payment, by the way. But it's extraordinary, the things that we've been accused of. And this is the unfortunately the negative side of when you bring change. You get these sorts of accusations. We've been told we're scammers and all sorts. So and that's fine. We'll live with that. People will see the fruits of it all as it happens. But the suppliers who we work with, we don't want them to have to artificially inflate their prices to cover off commissions. So when our clients come to us as for their wedding planning, we say to the suppliers, right, if that's your standard RRP, we want a better price than that because there are no commissions here involved. So we want you to give us a real price. So we actually have a price promise to our couples, and we say, if we can't save you your £250 payment to us, then we will give you back the difference of what we have saved you compared to that 250 quid. Which means, effectively, it means that we are free to them. So if they use the same suppliers and they'd gone direct, they would not be getting the same prices that we can get. And yet the suppliers lose nothing because there's no commission involved. So ultimately, everybody wins. Then what we do is, how do we make money? Well, we say two ways. One, we say to the suppliers, look, we are a financially relatively strong business, despite COVID. So we are prepared to beat your payment terms. So we don't have to beat your payment terms. We can pay you on your normal payment terms, your big deposit or your balance later on. But actually, we would like to beat your payment terms because we want to give you the best opportunities and help you, particularly at this time when cash is everything. So we'll beat that and we'll pay you, months in advance. Or we just paid a photographer a week or two ago. We paid them 100% of the cost. And that's for a wedding next June, not this year, 2022. So they're paid up, done and dusted. And one of the reasons, of course, we do all our due diligence is because we need to be sure that when we're paying them out, months and months or even years in advance, we want to know that they're going to be there in a year or 2 years' time.
Yeah.
So they're fully paid up, and we take a discount from that. And what we call it is a fast payment discount, because in any other industry I've ever worked in, if you pay for something before the terms, you get given a discount invariably. The idea being is that you're encouraged by the supplier to pay faster. So we get a discount. So that discount is our margin, if you like, on the deal. And again, it's in our contract that with our couples that we have to disclose as well exactly how much money we've made out of it. So they can see completely clearly. And our suppliers are not obligated to give us a discount. We can either pay them to their terms, no problem, or if they want to, then they can offer us a discount and we can go from there. And that's what we found the majority of the suppliers have wanted to do. They've said, you know what, desperate for cash. If you're prepared to give it to me quickly, we'll take it. So we are helping them whilst helping our clients. And of course, we get a small margin in between, which suits us. And that's absolutely fine. And of course, the other side of it is that we encourage our clients, again, not under any obligation, to come and buy from our retail side. Because that's where we do earn our money, and no one would begrudge us earning something out of the deal somewhere. So and that's how it works. It took us a long time to work out the model that would be best to use in order to change the whole idea of having wedding planning for just exclusive for the wealthy. And so we're dealing with budgets from anything from £6,000 wedding we've had to put on, which has been amazingly successful, right through to big numbers as well. Some of the more exclusive end, 40, 50, even £60,000 I think we've had. Big money. But they have benefited enormously from our model because they're not paying 10% to anybody, which has been great for them, which means they've got the full amount of money to throw at their wedding. And of course, the final element, the final piece in the puzzle from our point of view to making the wedding planning model so successful is, again, our fairly unique way that we take the client's money. We did a lot of market research before we launched, and what we discovered was that the single biggest stress for brides and grooms in the run-up to the weddings is always financial. They don't stress about the dress. They don't stress about the venue or the catering or, what about this and what about that? Actually, their single biggest stress is purely financial because they keep getting hit by the big lump sums from suppliers. So what we've done is we've turned around and said, okay, right from day one, because we're not working on a commission based on a budget that they spend, we don't care what budget they have. So there's no benefit for us going, I think you should have this, or I think you should have that, because, your wedding will be poorer without it. No benefit to us in doing so. So right from the very first meeting, we get them to set the budget. And I don't think we found anybody, actually, if I'm honest with you, who don't have a budget in mind at the very start. So whatever your budget is, we simply divide it by the number of months until your wedding. And that's how much money you'll pay us every month. It's a fixed amount, no big hits anywhere, which allows the clients to then really forget almost about the financial side of things, because they know every month exactly what they're in for, and they're comfortable with it, and they just pay that through. It's done, which allows us then to absorb those big hits when the suppliers say, actually, we want a big deposit or this, that, or the other. We take care of that out of our own funds, allowing the clients to know right from day one exactly how much money they're going to spend, and finished. So it's a model that has been so widely appreciated and it seems to be loved. But as I say, we became very, very quickly the largest wedding planning service, so much so that we actually were advertising a little while ago for more planners, which we took on. We have an incredible team, and it's been great. And we're doing some wonderful weddings. And what we try to do as a business as well is just put a little bit of personality into the wedding. Most people who come to us have their vision of their wedding, and it's all relatively standard. It's kind of like, it's almost the same as everyone else. And we always say to them, and Jess, our head of wedding planning, is brilliant at kind of driving this home to the team. If you are going to have your wedding planned by us, we really want to try and make it one that everyone will remember in years to come for the right reasons, that people will still be talking about it. And for us, it's important that we find an aspect that's normally very personal to the couple. So we take a lot of time to understand couples' likes, dislikes, what their interests are and what have you. And we find something that's going to work. That will be something that in years to come, people will be going, oh, do you remember that? That was, amazing. That was a little detail. And it's something that we really pride ourselves on. So, if you come to us, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get something really, really wonderful, but just a little twist somewhere for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
And that's it. That's what we do.
Awesome.
There we go.
So now let's talk about the wedding fair, because I'm quite excited about this. Yeah. It is the #BridesAreBack National Wedding Fair. When is it taking place? How can people get involved? What's it all about? Give us all the details.
Oh, okay. Basic ones are it's taking place on the 17th and 18th of April, Saturday and a Sunday. It's entirely online. And before everyone suddenly switches off and goes, oh, not one of them again. It is like nothing that's ever been before. One thing I can promise you, it will be just like being at a real life physical wedding fair that you would normally go to, only hopefully grander, bigger, better maybe. First of all, it's fully national. So we are covering Scotland, Wales, England. I'm not sure if we've got anything in Northern Ireland yet, but there's a month and a half nearly to go. So there's plenty of time for that. But certainly Scotland, England and Wales, we are well covered and covering substantially. Every supplier will be able to build their own stand on our stand builder, which we released. The portal was released last week, I think it was. And, we've been watching suppliers building their stands, which allows them to put on photos, videos, brochures that can be downloaded, kind of whatever the hell they like, to be honest with you, that will show off what they do. When a visitor comes along, they will be able to, first and foremost, check the geographical area that they want to get married in. So they'll search on that, and it will bring up all of the suppliers who are in that geographical area. And if they wanted to, they can then search on just a specific product category or service category, just a photographer or just a videographer, whatever. And then they'll have all these stands presented to them, and they will scroll across the screen or scroll down, walk down the aisle, as I keep saying, and look at all the stands. And when one tickles their fancy, and they can, as they're walking down the stands, they can click on all of the visual assets that are on the stands and grow them into full page screens so they can have a good look at what they are. If they're brochures that are to be downloaded, they can download them if they choose to, or they can just open up them on the screen and have a look. They can watch the videos. And then if they really want to, and they like the look of a supplier and they want to find out more, they can go onto the stand and have a face-to-face, I'll call it like a Zoom. It's not Zoom, it's our own in-house platform. But within the fair itself, you can have a one-to-one, face-to-face video conference, if you like, with the supplier, live there and then, have a good chat with the supplier. And hopefully, that's just no different from being at a physical wedding fair. One of the benefits is you don't have to walk around with a bag to put your freebies in, which you then bin when you get home, which is a pain, or pay the fortunes for the food and drink that you might have to buy when you're there. So from that point of view, it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be enormous. We are anticipating anything between 5,000 and 10,000 visitors. And for visitors, it's free. So we encourage everyone just to sign up, to the website, justaboutweddings.co.uk. There's a pop-up on the front screen. You can just click on that and it'll take you through to the registration page. We're not interested in lots of details. It takes seconds to register. We're not one of these, we're not Facebook, we're not Google, we're not trying to steal all your personal information and ask you, every detail. We're not interested. This is not, because I'm somebody who doesn't like all that stuff. So it was important to me that we didn't inflict that on anyone else.
Yeah.
Most importantly, though, that this is an absolutely superb opportunity for the industry itself to get back to doing business. It's been turned off for a year. And, we've all seen the What About Weddings campaign, which has been brilliant, certainly in terms of what it wanted to achieve. It had the right message to start with. Unfortunately, the government didn't listen and didn't, feed loads of money to the industry. And there's been people who've fallen through the gaps. And we are, as a business, really sad about that. Mm. We really feel like that the time has come where we have to bring the positivity back to the industry. And more than that, we felt that the industry needs to stand on its own 2 feet and help itself if the government doesn't want to help us. And for me, that's the message of the whole hashtag Brides Are Back. The roadmap was announced by Boris. We reckon Boris read our blog from the previous week because we'd already said we foresaw what was going to happen. You can go and have a look. It's there in our website. And we'd already predicted what was going to happen. We've been saying probably since late December that we felt 2021 would not be a write-off for the industry, but the industry needed to wake up to it. And unfortunately, because of the types of businesses we have when they're owner managed, where they're individual people doing something they're passionate about, and when you've been closed for so long, it's really difficult to get back to seeing things positively. Yeah. So this negativity has really sunk almost into the kind of the roots of the industry. And we said, well, actually, we see 2021 as a good year coming. We've been saying, I advised a client of mine back in, I'm sure it was mid-December. I want to say mid-December, maybe it was late December. That actually we felt that their weddings, they had planned probably, I think it was October or something of this year, would be no problem. And I'm pleased to say we were right. I'll blow my own trumpet. But most importantly, though, it seems like the message from the industry hasn't yet started to go out because they seem to be caught in this malaise. And so when we decided to put this wedding fair on, we decided to do it in an almost altruistic way. We've invested, I can tell you, tens of thousands. By the time we put the wedding fair on in April, we will be committed to probably nearly 100 grand. Okay, it's a vast amount of money, particularly for any business in the wedding industry, let alone a new business. So we're not going to earn profit from this wedding fair. We won't earn profit probably from the wedding fair that will run again in September. Maybe come April next year when we run the third one, we might just finally have broken even on the wedding fairs. So this isn't about us earning a load of money, which is why we've done the visitors are completely free and suppliers, it's just 100 quid. Now I say that carefully. I know lots and lots of people, 100 quid is enormous amount of money when they haven't traded for a year. But I would say this, there hasn't been an opportunity like this for the wedding industry now for a huge amount of time, over a year, where they can come together, stand as one, and for 100 quid, be seen, to actually be seen. You're not competing with massive, great other stands where the larger companies have sunk thousands of pounds in, and it's made your small effort because you can't afford to put a huge stand on, therefore you disappear. No, everyone's equal in our wedding fair. There is no great big stand. You're all the same. Yeah. And because of the way the filters work, you can't disappear into the background. So there is a massive benefit. And we also know that actually most wedding fairs, physical ones, that even though your pitch might not cost you £100, by the time you've done the travel to and from, by the time you spent the money on, if you're a florist, your new decorations or your floristry for that particular event. And by the time you bought the food and the drink, and by the time you've done all your marketing handouts, your print-offs, your banner stand, you're well in way past £100.
Yeah.
So we reckon that 100 quid is good value. It doesn't leave us entirely broke, which is quite important from our point of view. But this isn't a money-making scheme. This is about saying to the industry, look, come together, stand as one. The message is that brides are back. Hence the hashtag. Hence we've done a big campaign, or not a big campaign, but started doing a campaign on our social media. Just pure posts that are positive. Brides are back. Go and start booking brides. The industry's here for you. You've got your roadmap. You can have your weddings again. Start getting excited about your planning. Think about your honeymoon. Don't get it booked. This is the time everyone should be back. And we started seeing that other suppliers are now using the hashtag brides are back on some of their posts, which is brilliant because we want that positivity to come across. Yeah. So we would encourage everyone, the poor people who, did business by having physical wedding fairs who can't. We've put a message out on Facebook now saying, come and talk to us. We want to help you along. Okay, bring your suppliers to our wedding fair. We'll give you a commission for those that sign up. We want to help you. And when you then come and put your physical wedding fairs on, we'll back you however we can. And again, it's really important for us to support this is an industry supportive event.
Yeah.
So, this is not an industry killing. We're not just trying to now we've done for the wedding planners and now we've done for the boutiques. We're now doing for the poor people who put up on the wedding fairs. On the contrary, we want to help boutiques in any way we can. We want to help wedding planners if they need it. We want to make wedding planning more mainstream, frankly. We want to help wedding fair people because actually we believe wedding fairs are really important. And as the physical wedding fairs come back, so ours will just be another fair.
Yeah,
I suspect it will become the central fair of the year because it will be a fully national fair. I think, when you compare our fair to what they call the National Wedding Fair, which is held at, at the NEC or one of those massive venues, which charge, thousands of pounds for their stands. And, I'm sorry, but yes, we are doing for you. I apologise, but I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how all these small individual businesses can possibly
compete.
Can't go to those fairs. So we are in the same way as we're wedding planning for the masses, we're also the wedding fair for the masses. But this time we're wedding fair for the masses of suppliers. So I encourage you all, not for my personal financial benefit, but for the benefit of you guys. We anticipate with the vast number of people who are going to be coming to that fair, you are bound to do business. Something would have to be fairly amiss if you don't earn any money out of it. It's as simple as that. And surely by them being able to take deposits either at the event or a month or two afterwards, you're back in business again. Your cash flow's beginning. And these poor people starved of cash for so long. It doesn't make sense to me. So here's an opportunity. And just one other little thing we want to advertise, I guess, whilst we're talking is in order to encourage the visitors, we reckon for the suppliers, if we didn't get enough visitors, they'd be quite upset. Likewise, for the visitors, if we don't get enough suppliers, they too would be upset. Yeah. So supplier-wise, our efforts are keeping the cost low and making it dead easy. You don't need any technical skill. It's stupidly simple to build your stand. We've made it that way. And those people that have built it, I'm sure would testify happily that within 5 minutes, their stand has been built. It's that simple. But we also recognise that we needed to draw people to the fair. So we put out a competition on all our social media and we're going to give away a free wedding, an entirely free wedding from start to finish. And unlike most of the other free weddings that are advertised, where it's up to 25,000 or up to 30,000, 30,000 the largest we've seen, we have not put a financial cap on the wedding. We've said it's up to 150 people because we felt that was about as far as financially we could stretch. But it's 150 people or less, and we will do everything for it. And we will make sure we plan it ourselves. We will make sure the venue's right. We work with all of our preferred suppliers to make sure that you get the very best wedding, the very best experience, and it's entirely free. And of course, free to enter the competition. And all you've got to do is make sure that you have not just registered for the fair, but our tracking system obviously knows who's actually gone on to the fair. So you have to have come online to the fair, and we presume, therefore, that the very vast number of people will have actually walked the fair and had a good look at the stands and had a good look around. And we've got a special guest making an appearance on Sunday to draw the winner. It'll be very exciting. That'll be a bit of fun as well. I'm not going to reveal the details just yet, but that's going to
teasers.
Yeah, it's going to be but certainly someone great. A bit of fun. And we're looking forward to giving that away. And of course, that attracts huge numbers of people on its own. And so we are expecting great visitor figures, and we would expect, therefore, that to translate into business. So, this brides are back. And the industry is going to get back on its feet, and we only want to hear positivity going forward. And
I think that's really good. And I'm really pleased that you touched on that, because I feel like actually, there is always going to be a place for in-person wedding fairs, because girls especially, we like to touch things and we like to look at details and we like to see all that. So it's never going to replace the in-person wedding fairs. But also, we know as brides visiting these places that not every vendor in our area is at these fairs, because we know that it's expensive to get a stand at a fair. We know that there are costs involved. We know that they're on Saturdays and Sundays, but maybe people are actually doing weddings on those days, so they're not going to be there or whatever. So a virtual fair actually gives them the opportunity to see more suppliers. And I always see like going to the bridal salon and going to the wedding fairs as just rites of passages for brides. It's not necessarily that they're going to click with anybody at any of these places. It's just what brides do, because it's part of the experience. But when it comes to the nitty gritty of actually booking and paying for things, there's a little bit more research that goes in behind the scenes. And having a virtual fair where you can actually get a broader spectrum of vendors that you can say, okay, so this is my price range, what am I looking at here? And you can see 10 different photographers instead of the 2 that are capped out at that bridal fair, because they will only allow 2 vendors in of each supplier. You're not going to get that. If you go to one wedding fair, you're going to get maybe the choice of 2 photographers, and they both might be really high-end photographers and well out of your budget. And what has that done for you? Absolutely nothing. So I see the place for both in this industry, for sure.
No, quite. And we feel that way as well. I think the other side of that is, of course, what we've discovered is a lot of suppliers are now quite national. We'll in terms of where their scope of work geographically is, they're quite national. And therefore, if you go to your local wedding fair, and yes, you might find the perfect suppliers there. And like you say, we're advocates for the physical wedding fair. We've said absolutely categorically, we will back them in however way we can, whatever support people want. Come and speak to us. We don't want to ruin that part of the business. We want to aid it. But actually, what you don't get then necessarily is the company that's based and has a base, let's say in Hertfordshire, but covers a national area geographically, generally won't be invited to a wedding fair in Shropshire, let's just say. So that company automatically misses out. And the great thing about having an online national wedding fair is that you have that filter options. You can search, so someone who is a national wedding photographer, we've got a brilliant national wedding photographer, our friend Nick, who superb. He wouldn't be at the vast majority of local wedding fairs, clearly. But yet, when he comes on to our wedding fair, you'll be able to find him in any geographical area. And that gives him an opportunity that he wouldn't have any other way of being noticed outside of his own tiny little geographical region. And I think it serves a great purpose in many ways.
Brilliant. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on a little thing that I noticed while I was on your website, and that is that you have got a charitable cause that you work towards supporting. And I am a big advocate in giving back in some way to something you're passionate about. So for me, in my business, I'm actually supporting a charity called Village Impact at the moment, which helps Kenyans build schools for their children. So it's not one of of these sort of hero complexes. We're going to come in and build these schools for you and then leave you to it. They go in, they work with the locals actually build and maintain the schools, and they fund that for them, which is a fantastic charity. But you have a charity that you work with, so I wanted to give you the opportunity just to tell us a little bit about that charity, what they do, and why you're supporting them.
Perfect. Well, the charity is Ehlers-Danlos Support UK, which is the number one charity for a chronic illness called Ehlers-Danlos. It is first of all, it's a chronic illness. And for those people that don't know, that's actually a specific term. I didn't know that it was a specific term before my other half introduced it to me. My other half suffers from a rare type of Ehlers-Danlos, and it is horrific problem, which affects all areas of your body. Basically, is held together by collagen mainly. But what Ehlers-Danlos does is it kills it all. So your body, all sorts of parts of your body start failing. So my other half, very sadly, has got total intestinal failure, which is a very common symptom caused by Ehlers-Danlos. There's a whole variety of other problems, but it isn't well known as an illness. No. There's not vast amounts of research being done on it, and yet actually now more and more people, thankfully, are finally being diagnosed it, because there's such a wide range of symptoms that you can have. Some people just have stretchy skin, for example. Some people have very, very flexible joints. And these are common symptoms, but when you get the slightly more serious ones, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way towards just a bit of stretchy skin or whatever, but the ones that really affect your internal organs and your structure of your body. You know, the way the NHS works, unfortunately, you get sent to a gastric specialist or this specialist or that specialist, and it takes somebody to piece together all the different symptoms to suddenly go, this might be Ehlers-Danlos. So it's not a well-known illness. There is no cure for it, which is crippling for lots of people. Very regular trips for those people who have it reasonably bad or worse to the hospitals. So it's a really horrific thing. And Ehlers-Danlos Support UK is the preeminent charity in the field. They really try and help and support anyone who has Ehlers-Danlos, as well as trying to bring Ehlers-Danlos to the medical masses, if you like, to try and raise its awareness so that actually people can start being told, yes, actually, that's what you've got. Because until you know what you've got, that's one of the biggest problems for people when they keep going to the doctors and the hospitals and this specialist and that specialist. Until you know what's wrong with you, you don't know what's wrong with you, if that makes sense. And actually, that's a horrible place to be. But once you finally find out, at least then you have the answer to why these things are happening. It doesn't help in terms of curing it, but at least you know why and can put a name to it. And that's the first big step towards any medical illness. We support it because of my partner Jenny, and of course they will have a stand at the fair as well. So if you want to go see what they're about, please do go onto their stand. If you want to donate, please do donate anything. It's a very tiny team, but they achieve so much despite being a tiny team. So yeah, we absolutely 100% will back that charity, EDS.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a great chat and definitely eye-opening. So if somebody does want to join the wedding fair, and you've actually got two, and I believe there is an advantage if you book for both, so you might want to mention that. But where do people go to register if they want to come and join the virtual wedding fair?
Yeah, very simple. You just go to www.justaboutweddings.co.uk and you'll see a pop-up on the front on the homepage when you land, and just click on the link there. It will take you through to the registration page. And of course, for supplies, it's £100 if you want to be just at this April's fair. But if you want to do this fair and September's fair, it's £150, saving you £50 for the next fair. So it's a nice little saving. So wholly encourage it. Brides are back. So let's get this wedding industry back on its feet again and earning money. Come join the fair and let's have a great, great weekend.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nick. Really appreciate your time. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. All of the Just About Weddings and the hashtag Brides Are Back National Wedding Fair information will be in the show notes. So head over to the website, www.spwv.co.uk, head over to the podcast, and all the information will link directly to Nick and all of his good stuff. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.